Morning, guys. Morning, Downey. Coming in first. Morning, Ava. Second. Morning, Azra. Morning, Hike. Morning, Ryan. Morning, Charlie. So today is the first of three kind of enrichment streams, which means kind of just covering on topics in a more laid-back way. We'll talk a little bit more about geology and rocks, which kind of led from Earth's layers and scratching the surface. If you are missing work or you want to revise work, this is the week to do it. Because after the weekends, you're kind of stuck with what you got. Alright? And during distance learning, there is revisions on anything, going for far back as you want, back to March, up to max score. So, no reason why you can't do your best. I know it's just a tough situation, but we're trying to make the best of it. Alright, so what is today going to be? Well, fun fact first. The word dinosaur was coined by the British paleontologist Richard Owen in 1842. It is Greek for meaning terrible lizard. Terrible not implying that the dinosaurs were fearsome. I mean, some of them were. Owen used the term to refer to their majesty and their size. So, I'll ride a Utah Raptor. How about that? A little zoomed in. Come on. Try and get rid of these borders. So today we're going to take a look at a sim called sandspiel.club. It's a nature sim, being able to use different materials found in nature to model nature. And we're going to use this to look at the layers of the crust, because there is an idea, not really an idea anymore, but a law called superposition. So we want to develop this idea of what the law of superposition says about the age of layers in the crust. We're not talking about the age of the Earth, we're talking about age of layers in the crust. So again, not talking about mantle, outer core, inner core, but just within the crust, what you walk on. So the very immediate crust, too. Or Nikolai. So, that's the agenda. The link to the sim is right here. Second. You open that up. And they add some sand for you. And then they start growing some flowers. Great. Over on the right, you have lots of options of things to add. You can change the size of what you're going to add. Obviously, you can reset or refresh this to go back to the beginning, back to this point. I don't know what upload and browse are. I haven't bothered to look at it. You can pause an action because you'll start to see that things like water have an effect with plants. You can pause time, right? Or because, you know, plants are organic, there's other actions you can take, right? But I really want to focus on stone, sand, wood. You can include lava, right? Oil, I don't know. Stay away from acid right now. You can use it later, okay? So stone, sand, wood, a wall is pretty solid. I don't know what the wall is supposed to stand for. I think it's just supposed to be a divider. But build layers up. So you're doing this with me, right? So I'm going to add more sand. I'm burying my flowers. Then I'm going to add some stone. Some wood. Stone again. Sand. I'm just building up. Maybe a layer of dust. So dust would be dead particles. Something that'll fungus would really like to grow off of, right? So mushrooms, they're growing off the dead material of the dust, but they're trapped in a layer of stone. So these are kind of like fossils. There. Here's some happy little layers. I got my happy little flowers down there. Alright. Ooh, it just made a big blob of plant material instead. Here's some happy little flowers. And they're going to unless you trap them. You gotta entrap them in material. You gotta pour sand on them. You gotta pour some stone on them first. You put water on them, they're gonna grow infinite. But just make a series of layers from top to bottom. A lava will kill them and kind of defeating the purpose of what I wanted you to do, Ryan, but sure. When a lot of you are kind of set, let me know. Because we gotta discuss their age. You gonna plant them up higher like I did? See if I can zoom in to eliminate the blank space on the. Yeah, that's nice. This is up to you, Downey. I did fungus. So fungi, they break down dead material. So dust is dead organic material. 90% of dust is dead skin in your houses. So I put decomposers over the dust to let them grow a little bit, and then I trapped them in stone. Other things that are alive are mites and obviously plants. But you can't, notice you can't add things back in once you've already made a layer. Got 60 frames per second here for this intense sim. It is a 4K screen too, though. So we're in 4K 60 frames. With like an 8-bit simulator. You saying oil is combustible, Ryan? So Ryan's kind of getting to the point where he's starting to cause change. And I want to cause change in a second. Alright? So what I want you to realize, and I know this is kind of common sense, but using logic is going to help you do science. And so when we look at geology, the crust has layers. You go outside, you start digging a hole, it's got layers. Okay? You go off into the Midwest, you go off to the Montana, Utah, the Grand Canyon, and you start to see larger geological formations. You're going to see layers in those walls out west. And so over time, change happens to the continents. We know this plate tectonics, but then but you should see that these layers have an order, right? So I have a bunch of stone layers, I have a bunch of sand layers, I have a couple of wood layers, I have my dust layer. Which one is older? Which one is older? My flowers on the first layer trapped in sand, or my flowers at the top? In my example, which flowers are older? So the flowers trapped in the sand at the bottom, right? Good. How do you know that? Let's say I just took a screenshot and I posted it in Classroom and I said, alright, which flowers are older? You know the bottom flowers are older because you saw me start. For someone who didn't see me make these layers, how do they know the bottom flowers are older? And so this is kind of what I want you to think about. It's kind of rhetorical. How do you know the bottom flowers are older? You saw me, right? So geologists have to infer what has happened based on what they can see now, right? Geologists have to take a snapshot, a screenshot of the layers, and they have to infer the ages of the layers. They're deeper down, so they were buried. And so that's kind of what I want you to get towards, is that the deeper you go into the crust of the earth, the older the layers are. Why? Because gravity and weathering and wind are going to layer the layers in order, right? When you were adding layers, you were like gravity, pulling material and building it up over time. And that's what's going to happen in real life. So my younger layers are at the top, my older layers are at the bottom. This is called the law of superposition. Okay? The position that is higher is younger. Super meaning up. Position, a higher position, means younger. So you can think of it in either relationship. The deeper you go, the older the layer. Or the further you go to the top, the younger the layer. Okay? This helps us look at fossils and evidence for plate tectonics. That we can find fossils and ages of different rocks in the same crust layers across the continents. We can find evidence of dust from a meteorite impact. Like pretend this dust layer right here, that came from the impact of the asteroid in the Yucatan Peninsula that led to the chain of events for the extinction of the dinosaurs. That dust layer has settled all across the planet because the plume of rock and dust from that area in the earth went into the atmosphere and then settled all around, right, by gravity. So geologists can look at different parts of the earth, plates, continents, and see the same layers, and they can determine their age of different geological events, right? But not all layers are perfect, and we do have earthquakes, and that's kind of what I want you to get at. There is change. There are forest fires. Okay? There is oil trapped in different parts of the continents. Right? Plants get crushed. They make oil. We talked about this when we talked about non-renewable and renewable resources. Okay? What happens when you pull the oil out of the ground? What happens to the ground? Right? So there's earthquakes. There's human impact. And there's wind. All these are going to change the layers. So let's say, for example, that this wood right here has been compressed between two layers of stone, and we're just going to get rid of it. Gravity caused some change, right? Empty area. See if I make it a little smaller, it'll be a little more stable. There. So we had an earthquake maybe. That wood has been compressed. But take a look at your layers, Nikolai. Could you still find the pattern that you started with? Alright, so we have some oil. Let's say some humans. They want to drill down looking for oil. They start here. They're drilling. There's no oil. Alright, we'll start over here. Start drilling down. It's filling in every time we drill down, so we gotta keep drilling a little bit. There we go. There's some oil, and then now the pocket of oil has changed. Okay. Well, because, you know, Nikolai and Ryan have kind of gotten into some messes. Let's say there's an accident. Now fire is in there. We got to put the fire out. And so what you can see is the layers change over time, right? Even you can add in some wind. Blow across the top, right? Add constant wind. And the layers change. My stone layers are completely gone. They've eroded. My sand has filled in the spots. Fire is still going on because wind is adding oxygen, alright? Some people have made a fire, some people have made a waterfall. The whole world has fallen apart because you had like a wooden base, a wooden layer. Your layers change, and so layers aren't perfect when geologists are going to examine them. But you can trace back in time a little bit and compare across the planet the different layers. Like I still know this layer is younger than this layer, which is younger than this layer, all due to the law of superposition. You guys want to cause a lot of issues, dump some acid. I'm gonna restart. See if I can set something up that you guys haven't seen yet. So a lot of sand. See if I can make a small pocket. I doubt it. Yeah, it's just gonna fill in. I now made an acid waterfall. I just wanted you to cause change, Rainy, just so you could see that you could still track your layers over time. That it's still the younger layers on top and the older layers on bottom. You can't get an older layer to sit on top of a younger layer. Let's see if I can use walls are pretty static. Let's see if I can use a wall. Okay, let's put some gas in there and let's light it up. Earlier, when I was testing this out, you were able to cause an explosion, which could blow off some of the layers, kind of like a volcano. So I was trying to make a volcano. I forgot how I did it earlier. It was pretty cool to show how the pressure builds and builds and builds, and then blows up. You've been making volcanoes? You gotta bury your fungus, Nikolai. How'd you make your volcano, Ezra? Because I forgot how I did mine. Aiden, won't there be a sinkhole from when you burned it? True, but here's the thing, right? So if I add a bunch of layers again, going back to this idea of law of superposition, if I add a bunch of acid in one direction, right? One area. Cause a sinkhole, right? Yes, some of the stone falls down the sides. This is a wall, it's kind of solid. The stone and sand fall down the sides, but this is now the surface. This is the surface, and now this hole is the surface too. And so the younger layer follows due to gravity and fills in over the sand. So you still have a younger layer right here, very small. You still have a younger layer on top of an older layer. And this stone is still... There we go. Just kind of remove the wall. The stone still will sit over the sand. Like stone and lava, you made a volcano. Yeah, I was trying to use gas. I did it with gas earlier. Alright. So pressure and heat from the mantle can get trapped inside the crust when two plates come together and they converge. When they get trapped and they go upward, you build pressure and it'll explode. I mean, the eruptions happen due to buildup of the gases, not just the lava or the magma. Lava's on the surface, magma is underneath the crust. So we try and build a lava chamber. And then you compress this space with gas. It's my hope. We're making sand though, from the heat. How did I do it? Maybe some wind? But notice that the wind completely erodes the rock away. It turns into a new layer, so you can form sedimentary rocks later. So while you're introducing chaos into your layers, and understand that there's a law of superposition, don't forget that there's actual, reason behind this, not just messing up a planet. In a little bit, I'm going to give you direction on what I want you to do for tomorrow, and then keep in mind on Thursday that I'm going to give you a live quizzes on stream that is going to be your 8th grade science final. It's going to have questions. It's 150 questions long, pretty long. It has questions from the beginning of the year to right now. The top 3 who do the best are going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame because we didn't have a final engineering project. I wanted to do one more in class, but we didn't have time. So I'm going to induct the top 3 people who do, well, it's not going to be, graded, but, a chance to be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, that lasts forever. Grades last for a year. Hall of Fame lasts forever. Are you, Rainy? You're not in there. If you are, I'm going to cut your picture out. But on Thursday, I will be having a live quizzes for the 8th grade science final. Top 3 people get to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. First, second, and third. Have a little podium I'll put up into the hall. The actual hall, yeah, when we go back to the classroom, you'll be immortalized. Okay? Did he? Yeah, I think so. He was part of Group A3. The group that didn't want to use duct tape. So, rest of today, again, this is kind of short, because I want you to go do something. I could push lava with the wind. That's dangerous. I want you, for tomorrow, so today, for tomorrow, so a little bit of homework, I want you to go find a rock. Go find yourself a rock buddy. Outside, maybe you have a cool rock. Find a rock. And tomorrow, we're going to identify the minerals and the type of rock it is. If you're able to identify it, we're going to use a guide from the University of Nevada. If you're able to identify it, then I'm going to pull you into a Google Meet, and then you can show us your rock on the stream and explain to us what type of rock it is. Volunteer basis. Alright, you don't want to, you don't have to. But, find us a rock. We want to see your rock. I'm going to have a rock. I went by the beach a couple days ago, and I got myself a rock. Can I put eyes on my rock to make it look real? Sure. Put googly eyes on it, make your rock buddy, yeah. I paint rocks? Go grab a rock that you haven't painted yet. Because we do need to see the actual surface of it. There you can paint it, Azra. Sounds cool, though. Can we name it? Sure. So, find yourself a rock buddy. You can give it eyes, give it a name. But we do want to see most of its surface. We don't want it painted yet. You can paint it after. Jerry. Perfect. So Ryan's going to go find Jerry. Rest of you go find a rock. I got my rock. I'll show it to you tomorrow. Alright. So today we talked about the law of superposition, which states, using the sandspiel.club nature sim, that older layers are on the bottom, younger layers are on top, and that's how geologists look at layers of the crust, because the crust is subjected to wind and rain, erosion, breaking down of material, and gravity. So the crust will form layers over time. You know, you talk about in social studies, these ancient cultures, they're buried because of wind erosion, water erosion, flooding over time. And so the crust is dynamic, the crust changes. It's on a very slow time scale compared to humans, but it does change. Tomorrow we'll talk about rocks, and then Thursday, you guys have your 8th grade science final. Chance to be immortalized into the Hall of Fame. No avocado! Alright. I'll go get one. Like I'll go get one. Friday is the Falcon Fly by. I gotta double check our time, but definitely come by for a goodbye and for a team gift. That's Friday, the day of your 8th grade outing. And then next week is your last week. Rainey heard a rumor. I don't know why it's a rumor. It's it's confirmed. Next week's your last week. We'll do more of like mighty meetup kinds of things. Alright, so your homework. Go find a rock. That's the remainder of your time. Alright? Bring your rock with you tomorrow. Got any questions on revisions or assignments, send them my way. I'll direct you to the resources that will help you. Alright? Have a good Tuesday. Those of you that like games and stuff too, I forgot. I was able to set this up the other day. Those of you who are Legend of Zelda fans, I told you I might try and figure out a way to show some stuff. That's right, yeah, it's hooked up. No, it'll be another time hike. I'm still here for whatever's happening. No, you're not missing anything. Not yet. Bye, Ava. Bye, Bounty. Bye, Charlie. Bye, Ryan. See you, Hike.